Hello friends, I'd like to share with you an exercise that I do with my athletes at my gym, CrossFit Amundson in Santa Cruz. Before we begin, push pause and go get a piece of paper. All right, you're back, piece of paper in hand, here we go. With your right or left hand, whichever hand you're most dominant with, I want you to take that paper in your hand and start to squish that paper with just one hand into a tiny ball. So you'll keep mounding and squishing and pounding and crunching that piece of paper down into a small ball. And then once you've done that, start to squeeze. Really bear down on that piece of paper. Harder, squeeze. Squeeze a little bit tighter, really bring it. Bring it to the point where there's a little bit of discomfort, where you start to feel like, ouchie, I'm really squeezing hard and I'm starting to feel a little bit of pain. Like squeeze down on that, bear down on that. Give it all you got now for 3, 2, 1. Now listen carefully. Just a little bit of pressure release. Just a little bit. And then when you've released just a little bit of pressure, bring your awareness to your hand and to your forearm, to your grip. And are you feeling more or less pain? Are you feeling discomfort, or is there more comfort now that you've released some pressure? Let's go a little further. Release a little bit more. And release a little bit more. And a little bit more. Now, at this point, see if you can start to move the paper around in your hand. Can you manipulate the piece of paper now? You should be able to. You've released enough pressure that you can start to move the piece of paper around in your hand. Also, now can you see the piece of paper in your hand? You'll notice that there's a lot of space. There's a lot of physical space that you've created around that piece of paper. And then you can release it more and more and more. And wow, all of a sudden like, oh wow, look at that. I've released the piece of paper entirely. And perhaps I can release that piece of paper so much that I can just drop it. And even when I've dropped it, I'm still aware that the paper's been dropped. I could go pick up the piece of paper if I wanted to, but now it's my choice because I've released. I've created so much space around that paper that I've been able to drop it. Now, the reason I share that with you is that's one of the best physical examples of how the mind can constrict around a thought. Notice that when you were really bearing down on that piece of paper, it was painful. It was uncomfortable, and you could not move that piece of paper. There was absolutely no space between your hand and that piece of paper. Well, the piece of paper represents not so much the thought, it represents your mind. And your hand, the palm of your hand, represents awareness. And so often we think about the power of the mind, and the power of the mind is immense. But what's beyond the mind? Awareness. And that's what we're dropping into there. We're dropping into the felt experience of being aware that the paper is in the hand, or in being aware that the mind has constricted around a thought. And what we find with that exercise is you're not your mind. Your mind, just like your body, is an amazing tool that you can use when you're aware of it. When you're aware that your body is powerful, when you're aware that your mind is powerful, then you can use your body and your mind in every other practice that we've been teaching in this series. When you're aware of the power of the mind and the body, you can then experience commitment. You can then experience courage. You can then devote yourself to your morning practice. You can then devote yourself to your life purpose and to the achievement of your goals and your dreams. I encourage you to really feel into the exercise we just did. And then, just like I learned many, many years ago from Coach Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, the best way to really learn something is to teach it. Teach that skill, teach that lesson to another person. It's a great gift to offer, and you'll really understand just how powerful that concept is when you give the gift away to somebody else. I wish you all the best and look forward to seeing you again back here soon on SEALFIT.